Yes, indeed, there was a cipher, and that is yes, a meeting happened between US and Pakistani diplomats, but it was not a formal meeting. It was not an official or even a semi-official meeting. It was a luncheon hosted by the Pakistan embassy to say goodbye to US officials. During this lunch, the conversation also moved to US-Pakistan relations, and one of US diplomats, Mr. Donald Lu, who in the State Department is considered one of the sympathizers of Pakistan. He is still regarded by Pakistani officials who have dealt with him as a very fair man and somebody who has served in Pakistan and somebody who thinks good of Pakistan. And so he said that he was asked to share his assessment of the bilateral relationships, and he said that the relations were not good at this time, that there were concerns in the Beltway. And when you use the term Beltway in America, it means the administration, i.e. the White House, the State Department, and Congress, as well as sort of the media and political classes and everybody else, because Beltway is a circular road that surrounds Washington. So when you say this is a thinking in the Beltway, you obviously, nobody represents the entire Beltway. What you are saying is that people in Washington, this is how the people in Washington think on a certain issue. So what he said was that people in Washington were concerned about Imran Khan's visit to Moscow, that they believed that this should not have taken place at that time. I mean, like, he should not have come to Moscow on the day Russia invaded Ukraine, and that Pakistan under Imran Khan was getting closer to Russia, which was a cause of concern in Washington. He didn't say anything about the no confidence move. He didn't say anything about US wanting to remove his government, and there was no hint of conspiracy. But it was very harsh. Those were very harsh and say negative comments about the then government. But then that is what these lunch meetings are, or dinner meetings are actually held for. What happens in these meetings, that diplomats feel free to share their feelings, to talk about the ideas that are being discussed in various circles. So because that is considered a non-official meeting, Pakistan has also used such meetings to convey its sentiments on various issues, particularly on Afghanistan, and often warning American officials that if they do this, this is what they think will happen in Pakistan, this is what they think will happen in Afghanistan, and that is where it should have ended. That is where most such ciphers and more such data end. The receiving country receives it, reads it, and if it has to review its policies, reviews it. If it does not, it conveys its own feelings to the embassy of the country where these sentiments were expressed, say the US embassy in Islamabad, and that's it. But Imran Khan was passing through a difficult political phase. There were people within the parliament and people outside the parliament who were trying to remove him. So he thought this was a good opportunity for him to sort of come up with a theory that will attract the attention of the Pakistani people and that will win sympathy for him. And it did. He used it, and he was able to get their sympathy and start rallying people around this conspiracy theory. But I think it was very unfortunate for the country. It should not have been tackled the way it was. And there, on this particular issue, I do agree with the DG ISI and DG ISPR that there was no conspiracy. It was an alarming diplomatic cipher. It did have points that should have been that could be described as a cause for concern, but that should not have been made public, and that should not have been made the basis of a political campaign to undo the moves being made by the opposition. All Pakistani politicians do that. That they do sort of take a public position against the military, and then go and meet generals at night and explain to them that what they said was only a public stance and that they still want good relations with the army. This is how it has been in Pakistan throughout its history, and that is because of the army's strength in that country and army's involvement in the Pakistani politics. Every Pakistani politician knows that he cannot really succeed in Pakistan without having the blessing of the armed forces, and therefore they always seek their blessings, and they also know how much the army has been involved in Pakistani politics. The army, after all, it is a fact that the army has influence, and it uses its influence to mold political events in Pakistan. Because why they do so? Why do they go and meet the generals? They meet the generals because they want the army's support. Why do they want the army's support? Because they believe, rightly or wrongly, they cannot go very far in Pakistani politics without the army's support. They seek the army's support, and that is why they want to do both. Publicly, they want to criticize the army, and quietly, they want to assure the army of their sort of friendship. That's a welcome statement, okay, from the army, that they don't want to interfere in politics, that they want to stay aloof of politics, that they want to let the political players play their roles as long as they do not attack the army. Very, very good. That's how it should be. But the fact that he was holding a press conference against a political leader, against a particular political party, was itself a political act, right? And you can't hold a press conference against a political party, against a political leader, and say you're not involved in politics. The fact that you're doing it means that you are getting involved in politics. If you really wanted to remain non-political, if you really wanted to stay out of it, you should have gone to the Supreme Court and brought them before the court and started court proceedings against them. That way it will be non-political, saying that, okay, we don't want to talk about politics, we want to talk about Imran Khan, we don't want to talk about the Long March, but because he has said these things against the army and which violates certain laws and rules in Pakistan, and therefore it is for the court to decide whether Imran Khan has really and his party have really violated the rules or not. And if they have, then the court should take them to task for doing so. So that will be a non-political move. But holding a press conference itself is a political move. What Imran did is wrong too. I mean, he should respect. He should not openly criticize the armed forces the way he did, because that will be bad for the country. That will weaken a very important national institutions. Every country needs an army, and Pakistan needs it even more than others because of the situation that we are in, our disputes with India, our borders with Afghanistan, our border with Iran, our border with China. That places us in a very sensitive region, and any country in a region like this needs a strong army. So we should respect our armed forces, but the armed forces should also ensure that they are not seen as an inefficient political force in the country, which they are now. So the armed forces should take steps that reduces their political influence and let politicians play politics, and the armed forces should only focus on their own duty, which is to defend the country.